Welcome to Land Academy. This is the Cash Flow from Land show, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com. All right, let's get this show started. This is Jill DeWit for Land Academy. Welcome to our Cash Flow from Land show. In this episode, Stephen and I talk about one of his biggest failures, Arizona Gunslinger. Stephen, I can't wait for our listeners to hear about this story so they don't make the same mistakes.
It hurts me. It's a bad memory.
I'm so sorry about that.
I'll share it for you.
I hate to put you through this, but hey, before we start the story, let's take a question from a caller.
Dale from Vancouver asks, so really, you don't need a real estate license to do this? Can you please explain? This is an interesting question, Jill. You want to take it or do you want me to?
I want you to take this.
It happens a lot.
It comes up a lot. And you figured this out years ago, and I like your explanation.
I'll give the short answer first, and then I'll tell you why. The answer is you can do it with a license or without a license, and the net effect is almost no difference at all. Somewhere along the line, probably a lot of years ago, somebody planted this idea in the American public's head that you have to have a real estate license to be an investor, and nothing could be further from the truth. You don't need to have a dealer license for a car dealership to buy a car. Mm-hmm. And you don't need it's the same thing. So no, and very, very, very intelligent people make this mistake. It happens weekly to Jill and I that people are running out getting a real estate license so they can be a real estate investor. So the truth of it is, this is my opinion. If you, a licensed real estate agent is kind of subject to a different liability situation or risk situation than an unlicensed person, because theoretically, a licensed real estate agent, at least on paper, is more experienced and should know. They should know better. Mm-hmm. And in reality, we all know it's really based on experience, and that's about it.
True.
So no, you don't need a license. But here's my recommendation: real estate school in most places is pretty inexpensive. Out here, it's about $500 for 2-3 weeks of education. Mm-hmm. So I would always recommend going to real estate school. More education's always better in everything, not just this. So go to school. Hey, maybe you might decide to take the exam at the end and become an agent and decide that it's for you. But at the very least, you're going to spend $300, $400, $500 and get a tremendous amount of value and real world experience and learn about stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's really
and then at
good.
the end, decide. So no.
Well, I look at it this way too.
Jill and I are not licensed.
We're not licensed, but
nobody here is licensed.
As an investor, it's you buying your own assets. You're not representing somebody else too.
Right, Jill.
It's different when you're representing somebody else. That's where the difference is. But people sometimes for some reason it gets blurred, and I don't know why.
Well, I think
I'm buying something for myself and my company, basically.
Yeah, I think the blurriness comes from, and I agree with you, it's very blurred. The blurriness comes from the fact that there's a huge machine. There's a huge economic, political machine of people that are very, very interested in having as many licensed realtors as possible. I mean, they're one of the top 5 largest special interest groups in Washington. Uh-huh. That's what all these fees are about, and these mandatory associations. Realtors have to spend a lot of money just to be licensed, and that all goes to that political machine. Even though it might not be in our best interest any longer in the 21st century to have real estate agents, there's a lot of varying opinions on that. They make sure that MLS system is in place and that people are making, for better or for worse, it's in place and it's going to stay there for a while.
I have an interesting current event topic to interject here. Our own state governor, Doug Ducey in Arizona, is actually, I just heard it on the news this week. I have a very short commute, but I apparently pick up on a lot of things, which is really funny. I don't think you come
directly to work.
I'm driving around, getting coffee.
I think you go to Payson.
I go for ice cream. No,
I think you stop in Flagstaff.
Totally. No, I'm goofing off. No, he is actually looking at changing some of our state licensing requirements, saying, do I really need to have a license to be your barber? There's some things that he's even recognizing that we've gone a little bit too far.
Right.
Landscape architect. They were talking about that. Like there's actually a license for that, which were on the radio. They're laughing
That's insane.
Right? Like that kind of sounds like I'm mowing your lawn. Do I need to be licensed to operate a lawnmower and mow your lawn? No, that's a little too much.
Like this governor, he questions everything.
He does.
I mean, I'm going to eat my words because in the end, he'll probably steal all the money, but.
Well, he has other people
like
around him that are keeping an eye on things, like our treasurer.
Yeah. Jill's little brother is our state treasurer.
Yes.
It's funny.
It's funny.
For a lot of reasons.
It is. But anyway, I just think that's interesting that maybe sometimes too, they've gone a little bit too far. And like you said, why? Is it a political thing? I don't like getting political, but there you go.
We all know people who, when they buy and sell a car, I always use this car analogy because everybody can really identify with it. Or maybe I should stop using it. If you think I should stop using it.
Are you tired of hearing it?
Call 888-735-5045 and leave your answer to that question or anything else that's on your mind.
Feel free to tweet me about this too, by the way. Yeah. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So, a lot of people, the way that they buy and sell a car, it's very natural and normal. Is to lease it. The lease comes up, they go back to the dealership to get another one, or their old car's worn out, they go back to the dealership to get another one, and they say something like this: "I just want my payment to be XYZ. Mm-hmm. My old payment was $520, and I want my payment to be $520. What can you get me into?" And so, extremely intelligent, busy, professional people. That's how they buy a car, and that's how they always will buy a car. Financially, it doesn't make any sense, but it fits into their lifestyle, and I think. People are used to buying houses that way, primary residences that way. Mm-hmm. They call a real estate agent that they know and they say, I need a house, but I only have on Sunday to look at it. I have 2 Sundays to look at these houses. Can you show me what you think? I need 3 better, and they make it happen. Mm-hmm. And that there's a convenience factor to do that. And I think that's great. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Mm-hmm. You're paying for the service, but as an investor, like we are, mm-hmm. You got to really, question a lot of those things like that and the systems in place because you want to make as much money as possible mm-hmm. and do the right thing.
I agree.
Boy, that was a long way to answer that.
I agree. Hey, I want to interject here real quick. So you know, it's if you want to tweet me, it's at Jill K. DeWit, DEWIT,
oh, good, Jill.
Or at the Land Academy.
Jill has taken over our poor excuse for social media. Effective like last week. So this is a great place to talk about that.
Thank you. I'm going to be making some changes. I'm going to start saying some stuff. So I know that our listeners are all dialed in because they're podcast people and they're good at this stuff.
I'm going to pat ourselves in the back for a second. We have not spent $1 single in marketing. And this company has done, I'm talking about Land Academy now. In fact, you know what? I don't think I've ever spent any money on Land Stay. It's all word of mouth.
It really
and organic
is.
Traffic. We don't have an AdWords account. So marketers are reaching out to us now because it has gotten pretty large. And they're saying, you guys are off your rocker.
Right.
You need to spend a little money and do this, this, and this, and like social media. So we're starting.
Funny. I said it the other day, and our number one employee said, yeah, that's totally right. I love your comment with this guy on this call. We're accidentally did it doing pretty well.
Yeah, this all happened on accident.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
That's not good. That's not a compliment.
No. Hey, but the good news is when you have the right message and you're good people, it will get out.
Right.
That's my point.
Right.
Okay, so can I get onto the topic here?
Yes, please.
Because this is kind of my time to interview you about this, Stephen, and I'm really glad. I have 5 questions I would like to ask you, please. And this is for our listeners, and I want them to learn about this because this is a good story. So please, my first question is, what was the background of this person that came to you with this business idea? And can you explain the business idea?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the short story.
Okay.
This guy, this is long before I ever met Jill. Actually, long before I was ever in the land business. I was very young, acting as a long-term care acquisitions person here in Arizona. And so there was a much different woman in my life back then. And she had a former...
Much different?
Yeah, totally different woman. in a lot of ways. Yeah. I mean, she was actually a different person with a different name and very different from you, Jill.
Thank you. It's the way you said that was kind of vague. I just had
completely different female.
Okay. Not like Jill Stacy Jill.
No.
Okay.
No, that's a schizophrenia thing.
It is not. Quit saying that. You're silly. Okay.
So this girl, who's now incredibly successful, Jill and I still see her. Actually, Jill and her are pretty good friends, and I'm not even going to use her name at all. Her former boyfriend came to me and said, look, I know you guys you're doing pretty well with this long-term care thing. I have this business idea. I want to do this hot sauce like Tabasco. But it's called Arizona GunSlinger, and it's special, and it's all tastes good and everything. And he's like, I need $4,000. I'll give you 50% of the company or something like that. But I need to launch this thing, and I got it all figured out. And I, with my big, huge ego and my silly, testosterone, whatever age I was, idiocy, I said, you're off your rocker. Like, this is my girl now. Why would I ever go into business with somebody that's like a former boyfriend of, and on and on and on and on. I didn't even look at it. Didn't even look at the proposal.
Really?
I thought he was like sticking his hand out. I thought he wanted a handout.
What financial situation were you in? Was it like a hardship, or it had nothing to do with the decision? It
had nothing to do with the decision. I could have written a check for $4,000 like water.
Okay. What commitment was needed from you at that time?
Didn't get that far.
You didn't even get that far?
Nope. And that's why it's such a ridiculous. So, by the way, Arizona GunSlinger is a hot sauce like Tabasco that's on every single restaurant table. I don't care where you go, everywhere in this country. This kid went off and found another way. Talk about commitment. Mm-hmm. And he's just killing it. I think he sold the company now. I never met the kid. Never. It was all on the phone. I just said no. He really tried to convince me.
What? Okay, so was it more than one talk?
No.
Oh, it was one. What made you make that decision so quickly and not even take a step back and look at it? Was it ego? Was it?
I got distracted by a girl.
Well,
and that happens to all of us.
Okay.
Doesn't it? I mean, did you ever make I don't want to turn this around on you, but did you ever make a real bad decision based on you just got distracted?
No, honestly, didn't. Well, yes.
Yeah. I wasn't going to answer for you. I know of at least 3.
Yeah.
Like you're in the middle of one right now.
Yeah, you're one of them. There we go. Oh boy, did I.
You're neck deep in the middle of a bad decision right now.
Yes, I am. Jeez. Don't let this failure happen to you. I'm just kidding. No, okay. So
I'm going to parlay this into your friend's connection. We're not going to name any names, but when you're done asking these questions, I want to parlay this into why your Walmart friend is so successful. Because she did not get distracted. She actually listened to somebody in her life and went off and knocked it out of the park.
You mean her husband?
Yeah. Well, let's finish my stuff, my tragic story. Let's finish it with her wonderful story.
Okay. All right. So here's my last question for you about your tragic, horrible failure in this business opportunity. What would you do differently?
Well, I would have. Here's the moral of the story. And if you take anything away, it's this: just check your emotions at the door. Check your whole thing. There's no emotion to anything. If you're ever in a situation like that where somebody, at least hear the people out, take a look at how organized they are. If it fits within the stuff that you're all about, forget about your emotions or whatever and take a look at it. And if you got some money at the time and really could never want to see that $4,000 again in my example, that was the situation I was in. And I've always been in that situation. Then have a conversation with yourself and say, hey, I'm never going to see this $4,000 again. That's the worst thing that can happen. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot from that. And I probably told you that story way too many times. I think you end up hearing it because I tell it in the front of other people, like right now. Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
No, I think about it often because we run into restaurants and the kids and I have to hide things off the table before we sit down for you to sit, because you're going to look over and go, oh.
Man.
Because that that. Yeah, some days it hits you, and you're
if you don't know this,
hide the condiments.
Consumer goods like that, like little bottle of hot sauce and toilet paper and toothpaste and little like health and beauty aids, makeup. That's some of the highest profit margin material.
Makeup.
Highest profit margin stuff, like perfume too, that you can possibly imagine. I mean, there's maybe 25 cents in a bottle of hot sauce. Maybe. I think it's probably less. And I'm not talking about shipping. I'm talking about that actual cost of goods sold.
I'm embarrassed because I actually own Chanel mascara.
That's the worst.
Okay.
Makeup. Anyway, man, this is a depressing show for me. You know, did you ever have like a tragic thing happen in your life? And God, I never want to think about that again. And now we have to do a whole damn show about it.
Hold on a moment, Stephen. This is never a bad thing. Look at all the positive things that you learned from that experience.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, it could have been, oh my gosh, it was hot sauce. What if it was Microsoft, or what if it was something big, that you passed on? It's okay. Trust me. I think you're doing fine. I think you're in a good place, and it was, and that's what I hope everyone takes from this show personally is, don't beat yourself up for it. Yeah. You made the best decision with the information that you had at the time. Granted, Stevens was a little more emotional, but he's not going to do that again.
That's right.
You'll never do that again.
Yeah, that's the value.
And it's okay. You learn from it and you move on. And that's important. So you wanted to ask you want to wrap up a little bit?
I know you have this friend. I don't know the whole story. I think that you do. I know the basics of it. Mm-hmm. I know that she, extremely professional her whole life, but she, changed gears. And do you know the story? They had a sundry shop. Go ahead and tell the story. Please.
Sandwich shop.
Please don't use any names, but yes.
Sandwich
this is a
shop
great story.
In Florida, and it involved cookies. It's all started around this whole cookie thing and, selling the cookies. Now I'm going to get some of the story wrong, but it grew into, working for a small manufacturer, making cookies. They're delivering their cookies to them at the sandwich shop. And I think the sandwich shop, they decided they weren't really wanting to do that anymore and grew into other things. And anyway, she ended up working for this small operation, and she would go out there and kill it selling cookies. And she quickly learned that she could sell cookies by the masses, and she was really good at getting herself in front of the right people. So long story short, she would pick up the phone and call people, including Walmart.
Yeah.
And she would get orders of 100,000 cookies and come back and say, and the guy's like, we got to buy a truck tomorrow. How are we going to, she's like, I don't know, but you got to do it. Because I promised this, and this, you got to make these cookies in this quantity by tomorrow kind of thing. And cause she would sell it. And it grew into this huge thing,
they got into Walmart, and
then she ended up working for Walmart.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in a net.
Well, that's right, as a buyer.
Yeah, exactly. She eventually she would go back and forth to there, and it was a big thing.
Well, the way I heard the story was, her husband, who I know very well. We know both of these people very well, and he said he doesn't even talk about it, but she said it was all because of him one day saying, "Look, pick up the freaking phone and call Walmart. What do you have to lose?" That's the way she tells it.
And she was persistent. She was good too. She would show up and persistent and get in there, man. And she has a lot of, we talked about on a recent show too, a lot of, what's the word when you're security? She's very
self-confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very self-confident.
Yeah, she does. And she should.
She should. And that's just.
A lot of people take that as arrogance. I don't take it that way at all.
You can be arrogant. You have there's a fine line between confident and arrogant, I think, and that's a good point to make. But that's a really good story too. And in the end, what was really kind of funny too, well, because they got bought out. That's what it was. Remember, they got bought out, and so she hung on for another year, and her husband again said. He sat her down and helped her realize the value of what she brings to the table. So she demanded this insane salary, and they paid it. And she was one of those where she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened."
That's great.
And that's part of the stuff that's in my book that I'm working on. Women, for some reason, we're afraid to stand up and demand what we're worth. And she's worth it. And they said, absolutely, they paid it. And it worked. It's a very happy ending. So
that's a great story. That's winning. We all can learn something, I guess. Like, what's the moral of the whole thing, Jill? I think I can put it in one word. Just
please do.
Listen. Be a better listener than you are a talker. If someone's got a proposal in front of you and you're being all uppity about it, just calm down and listen. If your husband's saying call Walmart, listen.
Yeah.
If your wife's saying this is a good idea, this land thing, listen to her. If she's saying it's a super bad idea, listen to her. She's probably right. Or whatever. Join us in another episode where Jill and I discuss your all-important success in real estate investment and in life. That was a great show. Those are good stories. It was kind of a psychotherapy session for me more than anything.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you through that. Everyone, Steven's laying on a couch right now. And he's got Kleenex next to him. And I have a notepad in front of me. I'm just kidding.
You know what happened right after that? I went and bought 2 laundromats instead. Because that guy really did inspire me. And I sold those for a lot of money. Those
it led to something good.
Back then. This is right when the internet was starting.
It's hard. You can't beat yourself up for past decisions. We all do it. I do it. I go, gosh, what was I thinking? I should have followed through with that. But, at the time it felt right, and it's okay.
On that note, let's go buy some property.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
If you want to get involved or you need more information about our profitable, niche real estate operation, call 480-467-0359. You just might get Jill at the other end of the line.
landacademy.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.